Thank you, Danny. For those of us who practice in family court at whatever level, I think there are two truths that we know but don't deal with. One is that our clients come from a shrinking pool of litigants who can afford us, and the other is that we tend to ignore the growing pool of people representing themselves, the self-reps that Justice Zutrin referred to, who make up to 80% of litigants in family court. We talk about how to deal with self-reps when they're on the other side, how to protect ourselves from them, but we tend not to see them as potential clients. This results in a huge service desert in which those who can afford us get us and those who can't don't. Self-reps are increasingly the middle class. They're almost equally men and women, 52% men, 48% women. 77% are over 40 years of age, 37% earn $50,000 or more, and 77% have college or university or other professional degrees. There are neighbors, there are children, and I'm suggesting that we fail them. When a self-rep faces a represented litigant in court, they lose 74% of the time. That is, a self-rep loses 5 out of every 6 cases where there's a self-rep and a lawyer. That's not because they don't have merits. It's because they don't have professional representation. They don't have experience presenting their case. Justice for a self-rep in Ontario's family court system isn't about having the best case, it's about having the best representative. For them, the best predictor of success is whether the other side can afford a lawyer. This talk is to suggest some practical ways that we can offer self-reps meaningful legal assistance at affordable cost as part of our traditional practices and still make a profit. I left traditional family law practice after 46 years, and I now operate what's called the Family Law Coach, which is exclusively dedicated to offering unbundled services to self-reps at fixed fees from an a la carte menu, all provided remotely by telephone, email, or Skype. Everything that I do can be adapted to or integrated into a traditional office-based practice. What I'm about to suggest is not in any way, shape, or form a replacement for traditional practice. It's a supplement to traditional practice. The service models that I'm suggesting aren't for everyone, but they are for lawyers whose practice pipeline perhaps isn't filled and they'd like some additional income. They are for lawyers whose practice pipeline are so filled that they've just hired somebody else and the associate may still not be full of work. It's for lawyers who want to add a line of practice to their day-to-day activity that's way less stressful, that has no receivables, and that delivers more client satisfaction than our traditional practice. And it's for lawyers who feel that we, as members of a profession serving the public, have a duty to assist a seriously underserved group of family litigants and do it on a for-profit basis. What we now think of as unbundled services is essentially offering a part of or a slice of our traditional service. It's like selling 3 inches of a 12-inch hot dog. Given that we still have up to 80% of family court litigants without legal assistance, it has to be obvious that whatever it is we're doing isn't yet seen as being useful to the great majority of those in court. I'm suggesting that limited scope retainers offer us the opportunity to provide more services and to take a different approach. Now, what I offer is I call a 3-pillar service. A 3-pillar service is for each of the packages that I offer, and it consists of a predefined service. That is, I define the service in advance on the website. This is what you're going to get. You know what you're getting before you buy. A predefined or fixed fee so that you know what the cost is before you decide to buy, and a remote service so that you can access it from wherever you are without having to come to see me. But any of us can offer any one or two of those as part of our regular practices. The key factor to what I've called a 3-pillar service is commoditizing a legal service into a unit of value for the consumer at an affordable price. And this is done by looking at what we do, at what self-reps want, and then creating affordable services that fill that need. Fixed fee services require us first to think through the service that we're going to offer, and then to work out the price that we're going to deliver it at. That price is our cost and whatever profit we're going to add on to it. I should tell you that clients love fixed fees. Fixed fees are really attractive to sales reps, most of whom are frightened of ballooning legal costs, and as a result, they avoid lawyers. It gives them cost certainty. Either they can raise the money or they can't. It's not open-ended, so the way it would be if they go to other lawyers. There's no risk of a cost overrun to the client. No one wonders how much this telephone call or a letter is going to cost them, and no one says, why should I pay you so much an hour when I only make so much an hour? A fixed fee, particularly if you can set it in advance, invites the client to look at whether or not the cost provides value to them and whether or not they can afford it. It shifts the question. And when I talk about fixed fee services, I'm mainly talking about selling time. Almost everyone who has bought a time-based service at a fixed fee from me, where there's an option to extend the time, ends up spending multiples of the original sticker price because they can control the time. They know how much it's going to cost them for another unit of time as we go along. And because I only operate on a credit card basis where I charge for the unit, for the service before the service is delivered, and they ask if they can extend the time, I then process the credit card immediately afterwards. No one encounters a bigger bill than they had expected. Clients also love remote services. They love being able to contact their lawyer at times that are convenient to them from places convenient to them. They like not having to take time off work to come and see the lawyer. They like not having to get childcare to come and see a lawyer. They like not having to deal with awkward transportation issues, particularly if they live outside of the community where the lawyer is. And they like not having to worry about accessibility issues. They like not having to pay for parking. But most of all, clients love being able to speak to you at their lunch break or their coffee break. They love being able to speak to you from work. I speak to all kinds of people who are talking from their desk. Everybody else thinks they're actually working. I've spoken to people from when they've been at the rink where the kids have been at a hockey practice. There's only one fixed fee service I offer that's not time-based. That's a fixed fee for what I call a straightforward separation agreement. I decide whether or not it's straightforward, but 80% of my files are time-based. For every service, I send them a service agreement, a credit card authorization, and an intake form, just of the nature that Justice Zucman was referring to towards the end. My terms and conditions are on the website, so if they want to see them, I encourage them to do it there. Let me tell you what the two most popular services are. The two most popular by far are what I call the Quick Coach by phone or Skype. That's really the second most popular service. That's units of 15 minutes of time at $95 per unit. Not one person has ever stuck to the one unit. Only one person has ever only bought 2 units of time. She bought 2 units twice, ended up being an hour. Everybody else comes to the 15 minutes and asks if it's okay with me if it can be extended to 45 minutes an hour. The most popular service, however, is what I call the personalized service, and that comes at a basic package of $350 for 1 hour, $600 for 2 hours. Not one person has ever limited themselves to the 1 or 2 hours. The average fee, you heard what the fixed fee was, but the average fee, because it can be extended at their request at $300 an hour, the average fee has been $2,450. The lowest fee has been $1,250, and the highest so far has been $4,500. And the clients have been thrilled. They've come with a fixed fee. They've asked if they could extend the time. I say, sure, if that's what you want, you can extend the time. They have been delighted. I offer a couple of other services, but the reality is that everybody who starts those others switch over to those two. The general experience is that people are so pleased to be in control of the time and so happy to get their concerns answered and addressed that they ask if they can extend the time when I mention we're getting close to the end of their purchase. But in every one of those cases, the choice to extend the time is theirs. The extra cost is theirs. There's no surprise when they get the account, and every account that they get, by the way, says it's paid in full because they get the service at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and they get the credit card charged at 2:05. These aren't big fees, but consider the following. The overhead costs are minimal. It can be done with a minimum amount of paper, just your notes and emails. There are no receivables. The clients don't have to worry about getting a bill and wondering whether or not they have to pay it. There's no wasted time with telephone tag. There's no time spent on dictation. It's faster file turnover. There's minimum time involving your assistance. What you're doing can be scheduled at times of maximum convenience for both you and the client. There's way higher than normal client satisfaction, and there's way less stress with respect to those files. And these clients, who are happy clients, can end up referring full-service clients to you later. What most self-reps I encounter want is to understand the court process and how to present their cases effectively. I refer to that as process and presentation coaching, and that's ripe for unbundled services. It helps them understand where they are in the process, what comes next. It helps give them assistance in identifying the major points that a judge will want to know as opposed to the points that they want to tell the judge. And it provides practical courtroom tips. As well, I find that self-reps are really anxious to have someone with experience review and help revise their documents. That's going over a document that's already been drafted, editing it to make it tighter and to better highlight their most important facts and arguments, helping them discard the irrelevant or useless facts, and it helps them focus on the order that they're asking for and marshaling the facts that support the order. And all of this can be done within a time-based, unbundled service package. There are other ways that we can use limited scope retainers. Ghosting and appearing. Ghosting, many of us have done. That is actually preparing a document, a case conference brief, an affidavit for somebody, and then giving it to them to use. And appearing is also something that some of us are beginning to offer, that is charging a fixed fee to say, all right, you give me the material, I'll show up in court and speak on your matter. I've seen that the biggest, in conclusion, limited scope retainers open the door to bringing affordable and accessible services to those not now using us, and it extends our potential client base if we choose to rethink some of what we do and repackage it in a way that's both affordable and accessible for the self-rep. I've seen that the biggest fear a self-rep has about contacting a lawyer is the fear of an unknown cost mushrooming out of their control. It's not so much a fear of paying something reasonable to get a service of value, but it's a fear of not knowing how much the cost will be and whether or not it's ultimately going to be of value. When they're comfortable with what they're getting is of value, every self-rep that has contacted me so far has chosen to spend more than what's called the sticker price, and has been happy to do it. In some cases, they've spent as much money as they would on a traditional lawyer, but knowing that they are in control of the cost and the time has made them much more comfortable. I encourage everybody here to consider what sort of non-traditional, unbundled services you can offer. Consider adding your own fixed-fee service. Consider whether or not you can provide services remotely. I'm telling you, you'll find it way more satisfying for you, way more satisfying for the client. It's astonishing how stress-free that is, and for those of us in business, having no receivables is a real treat. Thank you very much.